So it's important to go live if we would actually record these and to make them available as additional content for our viewers. We should have gone live when we came back from our little piss break.
Yeah, and actually the Facebook ad should have been honored. The post that you put up had a time. Yeah. If we're gonna post a time, we should stay faithful to the time.
Yeah, that's very true.
So,
look, man, that's why we're still in beta.
Yep, exactly.
We're never coming out of beta.
Probably not.
Shite. So last week was the Michael Jordan episode. This is the Jeff Gordon episode.
Dude?
Yeah. 23 is Jordan's number. 24 is Gordon's number.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Oh, man, so slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, such the sports ball fanatic you are.
Yeah, well, sports ball. Woo, sports ball. No, I totally wasn't thinking about numbers. I was thinking about show content. I was, what the hell? We didn't even mention.
Man.
No, we don't talk about sports ball.
I'm an undereducated math nerd, dude. You should have figured that one out by now.
Yeah.
All right. You like that, undereducated math nerd? I'm adding that to my bio.
There you go.
All right, and this time we'll actually go for reals.
I'm an adequately educated math hater.
I don't know about that. Like, you'd be like an underzealous grammar Nazi.
Yeah. Really. I don't troll people. I don't troll people, but
you just inwardly hate them for all the fuck ups they have.
But if you ask my opinion, you're about to get it.
There we go. Okay, so here we go for reals.
Okay. Do I have a booger? Not anymore.
Did you hear it?
No. No.
You had me all fucked up, dude. Did you actually hear the audio?
No.
Oh, see, I was playing audio.
Oh.
Oh, it's because I have my fucking audio set up. Damn it, this whole shits, man. This whole shits. You hear that? That's what I said. This whole shits.
Yeah. Did you reinstall OS 10 again, or?
No, it's because the whole volume thing. Like right now, my volume's really quiet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I'm going through the mixer right now. So, but you can't hear the audio unless I go through the mixer. So what I'm going to end up doing is going through the mixer, and then as I get ready to talk, I'll flip it back over so that you know the music's getting ready to go.
Okay.
I've got to get this shit fucking figured. I got to get some actual cables instead of this hodgepodge shit that I have over here. So fucking shit. Okay. All right. Our PG rating is being tested right now with all the pre-show and stuff we've been doing. Okay, here we go, dude. This time you should be able to hear it, maybe. Yeah. If not, fuck it, I'm going anyway. Hello and welcome to the Ritual Misery Podcast, episode beta 24 for Wednesday, the 18th of February, 2015. This is a show where two lifelong friends talk about geek stuff and whatever else comes to mind. I'm Amos, and with me, as always, is my friend Kent. How you doing, man?
I'm sick. You gave me the crud, I think. You digitally transmitted the crud.
Digitally transmitted the herpagonocephalids again.
Again, yeah.
Yeah, they're just going to keep passing that back and forth via microphone. It's not healthy. Man, I'm doing pretty good. I got my third and hopefully final shot in my back this week. I got it yesterday, so yesterday I slept really good after that. Ended up being until 2 o'clock in the morning. And today was one of those days that super productive, didn't get anything done.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I absolutely know what you mean. That's a normal day at the office for me.
Yeah, that's a keystone of the military lifestyle for the paper pusher desk jockey.
Yeah.
So, it's been interesting. You know, my continuing saga of out processing. I'm going to have some things posted up. I think I disclosed last week that it was 78 separate items that had to be done prior to the squadron checklist being done. Did I talk to you about that last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 78, and I got I actually officially started yesterday, and I got like the first 5 of them knocked out, and then hopefully now that I've got my last shot in the back, I can go to the doctor and get the medical stuff cleared out, and I should be good to go after that. So that's how my week's been.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
at least you're only being
thump. There you go.
at least you're only being shot in the back by a doctor.
Yeah. That's much better than being shot in the back by I don't know, ISIS or some shit like that. So.
Yeah, or even just a coworker, or a lot of times they're usually the ones that stab you in the back. They don't really shoot you in the back.
Yeah.
Or throw you under the bus, or it's usually some other horrible thing.
Something bad. So so this week you finally have a TED Talk to talk about. So what's going on there, man?
Yeah, well, I listened to a few of them. I'm only going to mention one, just because it's relevant to the main topic for today. This guy Paul Kemp-Robertson, he talked about currency and the future of branded currency. And if you're curious what that means, look up the TED Talk. I'm going to talk about some of the things that he talked about during our main topic, but you still need to watch or at least listen to the TED Talk, because he takes it in a direction that we're not going tonight.
Okay, and of course,
it's pretty interesting.
Of course, we'll have that link in the show notes.
Absolutely.
As for TED Talks, and another link we will have in the show notes, the TED app, the TED mobile app. I know I sent it to you via message. I watched so many different TED Talks this week, I couldn't figure out which one. I couldn't even remember some of them that I listened. I mean, I just sat there. If I had 10 minutes, I would just pop it. There's a feature on there that says how long do you have and what major kind of topic do you want? Do you want something funny or informative, or and how much time do you have? And it'll actually make a playlist, a randomized playlist to fit your category and your time frame, and you can just sit there and listen to it. I tried that several times, going to the gym, put it for 30 minutes, and it would give me 29 minutes of playlist. And the app itself is great. So my TED recommendation for this week is the TED app, and we will have that link in the show notes as well. And it's amazing. It's the app itself isn't anything special, but just the capabilities that it has and the amount of curation involved in it is really cool.
Yep, I really liked it. I downloaded it right after you sent me the link to it, and I checked it out, and yeah, that's how I watched the TED Talks that I did get a chance to watch this week. Yeah. And it's really cool, super user friendly,
free.
All the content's there. Yeah, free. That's the key word.
Yeah, it is sponsored by Rolex. So like when you select how much time you want, it's actually Rolex face, watch face. But there's really no obtrusive advertising. It's kind of nifty how they included the advertising in the model, the user interface for the app. Right. So that's a worthy note as well. So moving on from that, what did you do this week that was particularly geeky, man? Lay it on us.
Well, I spent a lot of this past week being sick with the crud, so I didn't get a chance to do a whole lot, at least not a whole lot outside of the house. So basically what I was trying to do was improve my sound for the podcast. And one of the things I did was kind of a little location scout. I'd like to set up a studio at a different location, still on my property, but not in the room that I'm currently in, because it's got several limitations. But I have an outbuilding, kind of like a small garage or a large shed, depending on how you want to look at it.
It's kind of a hobby garage, really.
Yeah, kind of. It's
I mean, that's how I would describe it, because that's exactly how it's set up and everything else. It's like got all a gender role men specific. All the hobby tools, and it's got the shit. I totally lost the train of thought. It's got like the yard tools. And it's got place for your riding lawnmower or whatever. It's got all that kind of stuff. So it's basically like a hobby garage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Garage, or not intended for an automobile.
Right. I mean, you could if you really wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Like a Fiat.
I'm definitely not going to use it for that.
Definitely not my Tundra.
It's got a lot of potential. You can do a lot of different things with that building. And one thing I'm thinking about doing is turning a corner of it into like a mini studio, just kind of section a portion of it off, and soundproof it, set up some acoustic, set it up acoustically, and just make it a studio.
Yeah.
That's that's pretty much what I did. That's the geekiest thing I did, was just podcast.
Preparation.
That's it. Yes. It's like, what is that future projection word? Yeah.
Yeah. that thing you do before you do.
Right. So what did you end up doing?
So last week I talked about having some problems with the WordPress, the installation, things getting a little buggy, and me not being happy with the result. I ended up figuring out. I mean, I guess I didn't figure out. I Googled it. I installed a local WordPress installation onto my MacBook Pro, and can now tinker with it and adjust all the settings, everything else, try out new themes, all that kind of thing. Mess with the CSS so we can get the colors right, because our site is still in beta as well. I am completely not happy with the current layout, and what it ends up being is I want something very simple yet functional, and it's hard finding a pre-made theme to fit that. So I'm having to go through, and actually I'm going to have to learn a little bit more coding, a little more PHP, and maybe even brush up on some CSS to really get the look and feel that I want with the functionality that I feel our site needs. Our site, of course, being richmisery.com. But that's what I did. I installed that and tinkered around with that for several hours this weekend, here and there, off and on, and created a logo idea, an official logo idea, and hopefully I'll have that ready to push out next couple days. Through some public betas, and wasn't quite as happy with the results as I would like, so I'm going to do a little more refinement and hopefully get that out soon.
Cool, right on.
But yeah.
So did any of that cost you money?
Other than the software, no. I mean, the software is fairly expensive, but it's stuff I've got lying around.
Right.
Different positions and things, but yeah.
How did you pay for that software?
I actually used my debit card for the software that I purchased, so not the most secure way of doing it, but still better than just handing over a cashier's check to a random PayPal person or something. Why? Right. What are you thinking about?
Well, I'm thinking about currency and how money works, and
I use dollars.
You use dollars, right? But
yeah, I didn't transfer it over to won or
Right, but you didn't hand them treasury notes or coins, did you?
No.
You used your card, and the transaction was conducted digitally.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our main topic tonight. We want to talk about digital currency and the different forms that comes in. And you just illustrated the simplest, well, not necessarily simple, but the most commonly known version of digital currency. And basically all that equates to is it's real money. It's it's dollars, it's yen, it's won, it's euros, etc. But it's transacted digitally, whether you're using a debit card or you're using PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Wallet, whatever means that you use, you're using dollars or euros or whatever your currency happens to be.
And that's the whole transaction. The whole transaction is done electronically. Is basically what you're getting at.
Exactly. And everybody's pretty familiar with that now. I mean, if you're somebody that listens to a podcast, you know all about digital transactions.
Right.
Grandpa might not know, but
yeah, if you're listening to this and you're bartering, you're doing it by choice.
Exactly. Oh boy. But there's a couple different other ways that you can do digital transactions that don't use, quote, real money. There's virtual currency, and that's things that most people have had some experience with, whether it's Amazon coins. If you've got a Nintendo Wii or a DS or something like that, you've got your points. Nintendo points. Right. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure you can name a dozen others pretty easily. Just think about it for a second or two.
World of Warcraft Gold.
Exactly that. Or last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about freemium games.
Right.
And the currency that you use in those games, that's exactly what I'm talking about here, virtual currencies. And what makes those different from the next thing I'm going to talk about is that these currencies are kept within their own ecosystem.
They're controlled. They're centralized.
Exactly. So you can't so for example, you can use your dollars to purchase Nintendo points so that you can buy a game on your Wii, but you can't use those Nintendo points or Wii points and go buy something on Amazon, for example.
Right.
It is only used in that ecosystem.
Right.
It's very tightly controlled by the business that issues those.
Similar to the way cash is controlled by the Treasury or the central banking establishment of whatever country or nation.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm with you so far. Okay.
All right. The third type that I want to talk about is cryptocurrency.
Okay. You almost lost me. Now that sounds like something something that's finagled from a bunch of randomness and some sort of money, right? We're going random money. Is that what we're doing here?
In a way.
Okay.
Okay. Cryptocurrency. Okay, it's got a lot in common with virtual currency because there is no real quote real money. It's all in the virtual space. There is no gold backing it up. There is no legal tender issued by a government or any other body. It's all digital. The big difference is that it's decentralized, meaning that there is no organization that says, okay, you've got, like, for example, Nintendo. They decide, okay, we're gonna have.
It's 100 points per dollar or whatever.
Right, exactly, and it's very controlled, and that's exactly what it's going to always be. Well, I mean, they could change their mind, but that's assuming that they don't change their mind. It's always going to be exactly that, and they control the quantity, they control how it's spent, and et cetera, et cetera. It's very controlled.
Right.
Cryptocurrency, on the other hand, though, is not controlled at all. Not in that respect. Bitcoin is the most prominent. I'm sure most people listening to this have heard of Bitcoin, or at least are semi-familiar with the word, if not the actual entity of what it is. There's several out there. Many have tried to start up. Some have started and failed. Some are still in the process of starting up. Bitcoin itself is actually in beta. And it's the most well-developed and the most common and the most well-known. Basically, this guy back in 2008, what's his name again?
Make sure I don't mess this up. Satoshi Nakamoto.
That's it. Now, whether there's a lot of speculation on who this guy actually is.
If it's only one person, if it's a team, if it's a dude.
Right.
Why he spells things in with the British spelling, even though his original manifest was in English and he's got a Japanese name, right? Yeah, okay. Cool.
Exactly. So there's a lot of mystery about who this guy is, but that's not really relevant to the conversation per se. He or they released a document in, I believe it was 2008, that basically spelled out what Bitcoin is, or what they want it to become.
Right.
And then the following year, in 2009, the standard, the algorithm was released and said, okay, here's Bitcoin, go.
The initial batch of 50 Bitcoins was released in 2009.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And the thing about it is, it's completely open source.
Right.
It's not centrally controlled. In fact, the guy or group, whichever you prefer to believe, aren't even involved with it anymore. They kind of set it out into the wild and said, here you go, you're welcome, and stepped away.
They disapproved.
All right. But yeah, it's decentralized, like I said. It's open source, meaning that anybody that has any programming skill or background can look at the source and modify it if they so choose. Now, here's the thing. It's not something like Wikipedia where you can just go on there and make a change and then the change happens. Now,
By the way, for the record, Wikipedia is not like that anymore.
well, okay, it's more moderated now, and it's always been peer reviewed.
Right.
But before
but I
you could
digress.
just but before you could make a change and there it is. Well, the thing about cryptocurrencies is you can make the change, but it has to be implemented. It has to be adopted by the community. And with how these currencies work, it has to be adopted universally by everybody. Every user has to say, okay, we're changing it to that. So the only major changes that have really happened to it over the few years that it's been around is tighter security, and not much other than that. There's only been I think 8 changes to it, or at least 8 changes of any sort of note. But it's the way that the currency comes into existence, I guess, the way that money is issued, because they don't have a Federal Reserve that issues money to banks and banks distribute it to the people or whatever. It's called mining, Bitcoin mining in this particular instance. But every cryptocurrency has a mining aspect to it. And basically what that is, there's computers or people all over the place that use their computers to process transactions and verify the transactions, and basically ensures the security and the consistency. That's not really the word I'm looking for. But basically make sure that the transactions go as they're supposed to go.
Right.
And again, decentralize this. Just random people, you or I, could be miners for Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency for that matter. And you're using your computer to perform all these mathematical calculations, and it says yes, okay, that was a good transaction, and then it uploads the transaction data to the public ledger, which that's another thing about cryptocurrencies, is there is a public ledger that's available for anyone on the planet to go to and see the ledger. So it's very transparent in that way. There's no personally identifiable information in the ledger. It doesn't say, your name and address and phone number, and no credit card numbers or anything like that. But there's a key that you generate for every transaction that you make. Mm-hmm. So it can be traced back to the person that made the transaction, but you can't just look at the ledger and be like, oh yeah, Amos made that purchase. So it's very, very secure in that regard.
Right.
But the thing about these miners,
it hashes out to your digital wallet, which essentially is all but anonymous.
Right. Exactly.
So you can hash it out to there, but it's kind of like getting an IP address in an apartment building. You don't really know who it actually was.
Right. And and there's ways. There's ways that if the FBI needed to figure out who made this purchase, okay, they could probably do it. But you or I are not going to be able to track down who made that purchase on April 6th and blah blah blah, whatever. But these transactions that happen, they have to be, like I said, uploaded to the public ledger, and then it has to be cross-verified by others, mm-hmm. and it has to be checked against previous versions of the ledger, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, without getting into the technical weeds of it, it makes it very, very, very difficult to commit fraud or anything like that. But also, where the mining term comes from is the people that use their computers to provide this service get, as a reward for providing this service, they get Bitcoins.
Right.
And I mean, it's not a lot. I mean, you don't get much really at all per transaction but you're providing a service, and it's over the long term. You get more after a while, and that's how new currency is added into the pool. But there's a maximum. It's, I believe, 21 million.
21 billion.
Is it billion? Okay.
Billion. Well, according to the sources that I saw, 21 billion.
Right. So it's 21 million or 21 billion. It's definitely 21 with a bunch of zeros. But once it reaches that, then there's not going to be any more ever. So you think, oh, okay, well, how does this adjust for inflation or whatever? Well, it's going to be kind of a self-adjusting thing, because it's not just that many coins and that's it. It can be broken down into, like how we got dollars and cents. There's bitcoins, and then there's like mini bits,
millibits, or millibit coins, and all the way down to the Satoshi, which is the smallest, 100 millionth of a Bitcoin.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty complex. It's like I said, Bitcoin is the most well-known and the most mature of the ones that are out there. But the whole idea of cryptocurrency is actually really, really, really new. There's several, like I mentioned earlier, there's several other currencies out there, cryptocurrencies out there. And I just want to briefly touch on a couple of them, because most of them are trying to be like Bitcoin, where you can buy anything, any goods or services at all. But some of them are geared specifically towards certain products or certain industries.
Or just as an inside joke.
Yeah, probably. I didn't read about any.
Case. The Dogecoin is basically an inside joke that.
Tell me about that one. I didn't read about that one.
Yeah, I wish I knew a little bit more about it. It was created by a guy in Oregon, but it's based off the Shiba Inu dog that had become an internet meme at the time. So he just created a coin based on that to see how it would circulate. And there's about $60 million in Dogecoins out there, but it's at the peak it was 60 million. Now it's about 13.5 million. It's really minor. 98 billion Dogecoins have been mined as of February 2015. And they're really just not worth anything at all. It's just kind of it's almost a funny money at this point.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's crazy. One of the currencies that's out there right now, it's actually gaining a little bit of traction. Potcoin.
Yeah.
Any guesses on what industry that one is for?
I would say it'd be for the marijuana.
Yeah. Yeah, legal uses of marijuana. I'm sure people will find ways to use it for the not legal ways. And that's the thing about cryptocurrencies. You can't say that it can't be used for illegal purposes. It absolutely can. It's a money. Any kind of money can be used for legal or illegal purposes. And it's no different here. But the stated purpose of the potcoin is to assist people in making transactions for legal uses of marijuana, whether you're living in Colorado, just wanting to get ready for the weekend, or you're in California and you need to pick up your prescription.
Right.
All legal purposes is what they purport to be.
I need some pot coins. If anybody wants to donate some pot coins to the show, just feel free to email us at podcast@ritualmisery.com, and we will set that up. We will get with you, and we will figure out how you can donate some pot coins to our show.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you want to donate any cryptocurrency to us, that would be amazing. Hell,
we'll even take virtual coins.
We'll even take virtual currency. If you want to donate some Nintendo points or something to us, that'd be cool.
Some Microsoft points. Yep. Yeah, we'll take whatever.
Yeah.
We are not we are a digital currency agnostic.
Right. So how about this one? Titcoin.
Oh, I'm gonna guess that's gonna be used for some digital transactions in some gentlemen's establishments.
Yeah, actually, in anything that falls under the adult entertainment industry. So porn sites, adult novelty stores. I imagine gentleman clubs falls under that as well. But yeah, pretty much the same thing is what Potcoin is trying to do for the legal marijuana industry. Titcoin,
Nice.
wow, is trying to do for the adult entertainment industry. And the main point that they are trying to make with theirs is the privacy part of that. So, like, if you buy some currency, that's the only transaction that you're going to see for your credit card bill or whatever, but you won't have a paper trail of, I bought, I don't know, a double-fisted dildo or whatever. There's not going to be a paper trail of that.
Right. So your Adam and Eve and Ashley Madison purchases are discreet.
Right. And that's their main selling point for this.
And those websites are not sponsoring the show, but if they would like to, they should email podcast@ritualmisery.com, and we can set that up.
Yeah, definitely.
We are also sponsor agnostic at this point. Just make sure everybody understands that. We are not currently sponsored by any major corporation or subsidiary thereof, but we will happily entertain any offers.
Definitely. But we are affiliated with Amazon.com.
We do have an affiliation with Amazon.com and more recently with iTunes. So if you click on any of our links, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but a little bit gets kicked back to us. So we would appreciate that. But that's that's neither here nor there. Back to these digital currencies.
Yeah. So. Yeah, what do you think? I mean, as far as the future, I mean, is this the future? Is cryptocurrency where we're going? Obviously, digital currency is the now. Using your debit card, using Apple Pay, that's the now. Are we going to stick to something like that that's like dollar-based, euro-based, or are we going to move into the cryptocurrency like as the norm?
Man, it's such a tough call. I see cryptocurrency and electronic transactions, things like that, being the way of the future. I understand that doing so will eliminate some jobs and but it'll streamline some processes. My concern is that we have to make sure that the system that we use is universal, that everyone accepts it, and the only way I think we come up with that is to get the government involved so they can properly tax everything, because that's how it goes. Everything has to get taxed some way or somehow. If we can maintain the integrity of the system while allowing our local and federal governments to properly tax things, and I'm not against taxes, by the way. I have a very stout belief for taxes that will probably be the topic of another show. But if we can get them involved with it to where it'll work that way, and it's universal, I think this could be something we could do. And very importantly, with it being such an instant transaction and fairly anonymous, I could see this going global. And really, the scary part there is that someone's going to figure out how to hack it. I mean, they tried to hack Bitcoin several times, and they found, I think one of the guys found like 9 vulnerabilities, and every time he tried to strike a vulnerability, it said, the actual code said, this vulnerability has been closed. Thank you very much. So the code was actually morphing itself. Now, unless you have something else really impertinent to say to this topic, I do have one final hypothesis.
No, just real quick, the taxation was a concern for me. Another thing that I read about that could be a possible vulnerability in the future, when we get into quantum computing, which we're still a ways off from that, cryptocurrencies are going to have to evolve as well.
Right.
Because the algorithms as they stand right now are incredibly secure. However, if you have a hacker with a quantum computer, the algorithms are not going to stand a chance.
Right.
So if it's adopted, it's going to have to be evolving all the time, and that's the same with any digital currency. Like Apple Pay, for example, is pretty damn secure right now. but
Right.
it has to have room for evolution and change with the times. So
Now,
just like
on that note, the code does morph as it goes along, and the bitcoins do modify themselves. And I don't say modify themselves, but it does get harder and harder to crack them and to mine them, things like that. The end of April 2014, according to Wikipedia, which I'm sure is at least semi-accurate. The end of April 2014, miners had to try an average of 34.4 quintillion values to find a Bitcoin.
oh wow.
And by end of October 2014, so just 6 months later, it had gone from 34.4 all the way to 154.6 quintillion values to find one Bitcoin. So as it goes along, it's actually generating its own security, really. So okay, so and I'm sure the taxes will be covered at point of sale. That's how they do it now. That's how they're going to do it then. It's still anonymous. It's still just like paying cash, but the government will get their 6% or 8% or whatever. Or in Europe, 44%, whatever it is over there. So this is my hypothesis with I don't have this fully fleshed out, but as I was reading this today, it came to me. We talked last week about plausible apocalyptic scenarios, and one of the things that I brought up, in fact, my primary concern was the singularity. When the AI, when the artificial intelligence in the world decides that it is smarter than us and wants to take over the world, and we end up in a Matrix situation, or any of the Terminator, or any other scientific or sci-fi novels that have come out, right? Or movies or whatever. And what if this Satoshi Nakamoto was actually a result of artificial intelligence that is thereby using this to take over the currency transactions in the world, and that once we become completely reliant on Bitcoin or one of these other ones, these other 18 or so that have popularly spread, that the AI takes over and just flushes it all down when we are in a complete state of turmoil, ready for the robots to take over.
Well, yeah, okay.
I mean, it seems plausible to me. I'm just, maybe I'm just going, I'm crossing episodes like streams or something, but
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this. I'm not so sure that Skynet would be interested in pot coins and tit coins and bitcoins and Doge coins and all that stuff. Why don't they just hack the the Federal Reserve and the Bank of Europe and all of that? And
I got your answer for that. That's easy. That would be too simple. They'd be able to find some way to, you crack the U.S. Reserve, whoop-de crap, right? But if you crack all of the bitcoins in the world at the same time, done.
Yeah. And
done. You don't even have to wait for time zones. You just crash the whole thing and went.
That is true.
Which time zones goes back to a whole other thing. So maybe we should keep time zones. It's at least slowing down the singularity, I think. So, all right. So that's two semi-educated individuals talking about something that's fairly new and completely crazy. It's one of those things that's really hard to wrap your mind around. And that brings me to my next topic, which would be the program OmniFocus. OmniFocus is a program along the lines of the GTD train, the Get Things Done train. And I could tell you all about who created it and everything else. But really what I would just want to say is, if you are looking for a way to break big tasks into smaller tasks and to keep yourself on point, it is definitely worth your time to look into a service like this. The OmniFocus is not free by any means. It's a free service to continue to use, but you do have to pay into it to buy the program or buy the apps. I've been using it for a couple of days now to help me with my out processing. I'm going to use it kind of as a case study to continue and report back with. There's a learning curve, but I genuinely see the value of it already. It's already helped me out. It's already started keeping me straight, and it's already kind of lined up things as far as the this PCS and the 78 steps that I know about that I'm currently trying to tackle, and broken it into smaller pieces and made it just more manageable. So that'd be my suggestion. Just kind of look into that, and if you want to find your alternate ways of acquisition, that's fine with me. But it seems to be pretty good, and it's got some high praises. And I actually heard about it initially from CGP Grey on his podcast, Hello Internet. And it's basically what he uses for his workflow. And if it's good enough for CGP Grey to tout about, then it's definitely good enough for me to at least try.
Right on.
So you don't get a million subscribers on the YouTubes without knowing how to make some projects happen. So
right, exactly.
Speaking of CGP Grey, just a really quick thing. He threw out a thing on there on Twitter here last couple days. It's actually a video by John Green, part of the Nerd Fighter line, and apparently John Green had been taking. He's a writer, and he's written several books. The most famous of which would be The Fault in Our Stars, which just turned into a movie this last summer. He was actually taking credit for a line from one of his books. And the line's not important, and none of that's important, so I didn't bother quoting it out. But he was taking credit for it, and then come to find out, he went through and fact-checked and searched for his own books for this line, and he didn't write it. He had sold T-shirts and posters and everything else with this. So he came clean this week, said, it was an honest mistake, whatever else, has promised to fulfill all the royalties from the things that were sold, and has straightened out the record live on, not live, but through his normal medium, his normal channel of talking to his fans, and is retroactively giving all those royalties over to the person that actually created it, and she was a 13-year-old fan of his. So that should be.
Oh wow.
I'm not saying, I don't know if there's a lot of money in it, but at least he's doing that and he's making it right. And the key to the story is fact check yourself, even if you are the subject. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and definitely, in the era of DMCA and copyright protections and everybody going hoobaloo and oh my gosh and everything else.
Yep.
An important lesson that we could all probably just take a little bit from. So even if you've convinced yourself that it's yours, just check. So.
Yeah, good advice for sure, especially like you said in the era of intellectual property
mischief.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Infinitely copyable everything.
Yeah. So exactly.
All right, man. Well, that's been our show for the evening. Is there anything else that you want to bring up? Something you want to pimp out?
Just as always, go to ratebeer.com and look up Del Noche if you're interested in anything that I do with beer. Check it out.
Speaking of interesting things Kent does with beer, he's actually not drinking this episode, which is an episode first, which is sad because I'm actually drinking one of the Wisconsin beers that he found a way to acquire out of state for me.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's Moon Man. I don't even know. You probably know more about it than I do. But for the people watching the video, you got a picture of it. If you ever get to Wisconsin, check this out.
Yeah.
It's damn delicious.
Check out the New Glarus Brewery. They make all kinds of awesome beers.
So there's that. Of course, you can be found on Twitter at RM_Del Noche.
Yep.
You can find me on Twitter at Ethan Kane. You can find the show and the show notes and everything else, ritualmisery.com. It's all on there. It's going to go through some changes very shortly, as time permits. Unfortunately, this is not my full-time job. Otherwise, I'd be the happiest man in the world. And you can find it all there. Episodes, back episodes. You can find links to the videos. You can find all that good stuff there. You can always look us up on YouTube. The link is on the webpage. You can just search Ritual Misery on YouTube, and you'll find all of our videos. If you really want to support the show, you can go to Patreon and find us there. We're not trying to pimp that out too much right now, but it's a pretty amazing thing. There's several things on Patreon. If you've never heard of it, cruise on over to patreon.com. Find some people that you like, and I can almost guarantee they've got a fundraiser on there that you can help them directly. And Patreon takes a very small portion of what you give out, and the artist or host or whatever else sees the rest of that. So it's a great thing. You can, like I said, you can follow the show at Ritual Misery on the Twitters. You can submit ideas on our subreddit, ritualmisery.reddit.com. We check that. Well, I check it pretty much every day, and make sure that if there's anything spectacular on there, that I follow up on it. We've had some good suggestions on there, and I love Reddit. I think Reddit's one of those things I can just sink all my time into, but I'm currently trying to eliminate time sinks. So I stay pretty focused.
Yeah, it's definitely a rabbit hole.
Yep. If you'd like to email us, you can email us text, voice. You can email a MP3 of yourself. Email us a video, whatever. Ritual Misery or podcast at ritualmisery.com. You can call and leave us a voicemail 567-69-TRMPC. That's 567-698-7672. Our music that's cutting in right now comes courtesy of Kevin MacLeod. And thank you for listening. For me, for you, and for Kent, this is your Ritual Misery podcast.
See ya.
And now I'll cut this in so you can actually hear the music. And that's a wrap, dude.
Right on.
There it is. All pretty and wrapped up with a bow.
OmniFocus sounds like a car.
It's the most involved to-do list I've ever seen. I'm still trying to learn how to use it because to-do lists are one of those things that you can be infinitely detailed with, and what it does is it forces you to break things into major projects and kind of branches from there. There's a couple different options there, but as far as like tagging it and saying, hey, this involves that, it does what they call contexts, and that's kind of the key. The context is what one single thing can you not accomplish, or can you not? Yeah, what can you not accomplish without this? Did I say that right? Like, if I want to make a phone call, I cannot accomplish that without a phone, right?
Right.
So that would be my context. Except I have a phone with me almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that wouldn't necessarily be a context because it's not really a limiting factor. I'm rarely without a phone.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain things I can only do at work. So work would be the context. Like I can only do things on a .mil computer, period, end of story.
Right.
Or I can only do things on the computer at work because that's where the files are located. So work would be a context. There's certain things I can only buy if I'm at Walmart or if I'm at Lowe's or whatever. So those might be a context. There's certain things I can only do at home, or that I would only do at home. Like if I want to call Aunt Paula, I'm not going to put that as a work. That's basically something I have to do at home. Or at least away from work. So it's pretty in depth. It's pretty involved. I'm actually, the more I use it, the more I like it. And you know how I am, man. I like order and structure, and I like to be able to customize shit and have it planned out and know exactly where I'm at and where I'm going with things. So yeah, I acquired the desktop version through a special program and just purchased the iPhone app. So if you can read between those lines. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I don't know. I don't know if you're into to-do lists and shit. I don't think you really are because you're too much of a go with the flow, whatever the hell happens kind of person. But
yeah, well, I like lists, but it's just basically just a list. It's something for me to look at. It's not a. It really doesn't. Lists don't really help me accomplish. It just helps me look at what's left. Oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've tried some different to-do programs and stuff like that, and no, didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, my thing is I can see the list of things to do, but I'll look at it and be like, okay, that's too much time, or that I can't do that here, and I just kind of, I get a list of 30 things, and I'm just like, I can't fucking do all that right now. That list is completely pointless to me because I'm not going to accomplish it at all. But if I can break it down a little bit more and make it smaller, smaller chunks of information each time, way better. And I can do that all day with this. So, and essentially what they're saying is if you want to break things down into each individual step. Not to the point of, okay, walk across the floor, pick, open the closet door, pull out the vacuum, nothing like that. But excuse me, if you can't accomplish a series of steps in the same place with the same resources, they should be broken apart.
Right.
Like my medical clearance letter. I want to get my medical clearance letter done. Or my 422A, there you go. To get my 422A, I have to have my immunization letter done, I have to have my medical clearance done, and I have to have my dental clearance done. Okay? Each of those requires a couple steps. I have to go to take my immunization letter to immunizations, and then turn it in. I have to take my medical clearance letter to the doctor, and take that to the 422 place, and then take that to, you know what I mean? So you can break it down each one of those. But all the letters would have, 2 steps basically: get it signed, turn it in. So it's not like go to the clinic and turn it in or blah blah blah. But it's kind of one of those things you get out of what you put into it, but it's designed so that you're not spending all your time planning and not spending any time doing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because that's where I get caught. I get caught in that loop, just like buying shit. Like I get caught in the upgrade loop.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, did you get that H4?
It's en route. It should be here this weekend.
Okay, cool.
Damn it. Ugh.
Very cool. I have found that Amazon, anything that I buy through Amazon off my link, does not count for us. Yeah, probably has something to do with the same address, the business address that I use to register the affiliation, and my home address being the same. So well, you can't buy shit from yourself, fool. So.
Well, hopefully all of mine are counting.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen any money from them yet, but there is a threshold you have to cross before you get paid. I just forget what it was. And the iTunes thing just happened, so we can start earning some affiliation fees through there.
Yeah.
I have no idea what their fee structure is, but if they give us a penny per dollar, that's more than what we have now. So.
How long did this show go?
I think we started recording at 34 minutes into my recording, and we stopped at about the hour 14-minute mark.
Okay.
Maybe less than that. So you're looking at about 40 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
I looked down to see where we were at, and then I was like, oh, shit, my phone's in my pocket.
Yeah, I realized about 5 minutes into it, my phone was still back there charging. So, I just kind of took mark of the time and just kind of, didn't want to let things go too long. But I think we had a pretty decent discussion. So.
Yeah.
It wasn't overly drawn out. We didn't guess a bunch of shit. We didn't talk out of our ass too much, so not too much brown text.
Yeah. There's always some talking out of our ass, but I think this was fairly decently researched.
Yeah. And how did you like the lead-in in there?
Which one?
For the Bitcoin thing. Well, for the digital currency.
I thought I did the lead-in.
Well, you did the lead-in, but I led you in with the questions and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, that was good. That's kind of what I was looking for when you said that I was going to be pretty much heading up the conversation. That's kind of what I was looking for, just little help it along, let us know you're still around, kind of
interjections.
Yes, that's it. That's the word.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast now. I think we got enough for a decent show on there, and it's kind of getting late. It's about 10 minutes to midnight my time, so.
Yeah.
All you video people, the several of you that watch. Adios.
Yeah. See ya.